Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And guess what? It just suddenly started the broadcast. So anyway, I'm just in the other room at the moment, which makes things a little bit easier because Jane's mum and that are doing things, getting ready for this evening. As you can see, it is now, what's it, day 3 now in our confinement. A lot has been going on in the last 24 hours here in the UK with everything going on with COVID, and I'm actually going to get onto that when we do a little snapshot of what's going on. Big shout out to all those people just tuning in at the moment. Heather Nash, can I just say I'm very sorry to hear about the passing of your little cat called Tom. I know how much you love your cats, and Jane and I always enjoy your little video clips you send to us of what your cats are up to. Bless you. Anyway, I hope that he is now out of suffering and he's gone over the rainbow bridge, as we like to say, and he's with his other little friends up there. Anyway, nice for you tuning in. Paul Bignell as well. Margaret Black looking in. Amy Hunt. Right, let's just switch the screen round. Just to remind people who are not aware, I'm actually in the UK. Jane and I arrived here just a few days ago. We are in isolation. I have to do 5 days isolation before I'm allowed out. Jane is waiting for her test result to come, and as soon as she gets that, she can go out because she's double jabbed. So at the moment, faces pressed against the window, looking forward to freedom and being able to get outside. Right, just quickly then, big shout out to Amanda Gregory back there in Zakynthos in Greece. She said, good morning, Ginge. Saturday's weather, mostly sunny, but a cold wind. Temperature's 11. It's going to feel like 8. Have a great day. She also said, we had a small earthquake this morning, around about 1:30, followed by a heavy downpour and strong winds. I'm safe, she says. It was 4.0 on the old, it was 440 on the old Richter scale. And it was recorded in Greece at 1.28. I've had a further update on the earth tremors over there at the moment. There was a strong earth tremor that rattled southern Greece this morning with no immediate reports of any damage or injuries. The Athens Geodynamic Institute reported a tremor of 5.4 actually in scale, and that was at a depth of 58 kilometers, and it was between the islands of the Peloponnese and Crete. So yeah, we're kind of in that area. So obviously it rattled us as well, but they've obviously had one at 5:16 as well this morning, GMT. I don't know what that works out on Greek time, but anyway, 2 hours off of that time. Because 2 hours on at that time, so it looks like another one. Also as well, for those people living over in Greece, just be aware there's a cold air front coming in from Northern Europe. That's going to affect Greece, with temperatures forecast to drop within the next 24 hours to about 7 to 8 degrees Celsius on Saturday. That's what the weather metro over there in Greece has been saying. And as for Leek, partially cloudy, temperature 4, going to feel like 1. So again, not much difference really in the weather, to be quite honest. Right, COVID in the last 24 hours in Greece then. As always, I like to give you the stats, and I'm just going to give you this little headline that was published this morning. Despite the growing concern sparked by the Omicron variant, health authorities in Greece said on Friday that the 4th wave of the coronavirus pandemic was indeed showing signs that it is on a downward trajectory, as the number of cases and incubations and new hospital admissions are gradually declining. And I've got to be honest, I do agree with that as well. Even though the numbers in certain areas are slightly up, in other areas they're slightly down. This is the infection rate at the moment. The infection rate at the moment, yesterday it was 4,696. Today I can report 4,766. So that is up slightly. At the moment, the total amount of infections that Greece has had since the beginning of the pandemic has been 1,000,000. 26,902. 16 new cases were identified after checks into the country. That was up on the day before. Now, at the moment, only 17 Omicron variants have been detected in Greece. That number hasn't gone up. All right. And the areas where it has been seen are Lassia, Athens, Central Sector, Heraklion, which is in Crete, and also Lacona as well. So nothing being really reported around the Peloponnese at all. So again, the Omicron, only 17 confirmed cases in Greece since the madness started, all right? Now, when it comes to the islands at the moment, the figures there are quite interesting as well. Lefkada yesterday reported they had 10 new infections. Well, guess what? They've had 10 more new infections. They are in the green. Corfu, yesterday I reported they had 83 new infections. Today, that number has dropped to 65 new infections have been reported on Corfu, and they are still in the dark red as far as the Greek traffic light system is concerned. As for Kefalonia, their number has dropped as well. Yesterday, I reported 4 new cases on that island, and today I can report 3 new cases within the last 24 hours on Kefalonia. They are in the yellow. When it comes to Zakynthos, again, a drop for us as well. Yesterday, I reported 6 new cases. Today, I can report 5 new cases. So there has been a drop in Zakynthos, and we are still in amber on the Greek traffic light system. Now, when it comes to deaths at the moment, deaths are down. You remember yesterday, I'd told you we'd had 96 cases. Yesterday, the day before that, there'd been 77. And the day before that, the highest total since the beginning of the pandemic of 130. Well, today I can report that there's been 85 new deaths across the country. That is obviously down on Friday. And obviously there has been a downward trend in deaths at the moment. Anyway, once again, our condolences to those families that are affected, especially being so close to Christmas. That brings the death toll now in Greece since the pandemic started to 19,736. 95% of those people had underlying diseases or were over the age of 70 years. And again, our condolences to those families. And again, can I make it quite clear that no one has been linked with a death to the Omicron mutation at the moment. That's the Greek wording for it. So again, the deaths are down. When it comes to hospitalizations at the moment here in Greece, in Greece, I'm not there at the moment, they've actually gone down as well. Yesterday, you might remember, it was 692 people in ICUs across the country. That number has dropped to 684 people in ICUs across the country. Critical cases in hospital, then, of that 684, 409 are male, 275 are female. The average age of those people is 64 years of age. 81% of them actually have underlying health issues or are over the age of 70. Now, regarding the vaccination statuses of those people in hospitals at the moment in ICUs, 565 of them are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, and 119 of them are fully vaccinated. Again, it's not been made clear what they class as fully vaccinated, as if they've had all 3 jabs, including the booster, or whether it's just the 2 jabs as initially was. But again, that's never been cleared up. But anyway, those people who are technically partially vaccinated, that still has not yet been rectified. Anyway, a quick look at what's going on with COVID in the UK. I've got to be honest, within the last 24 hours, things just seem to be ramping up in certain areas, specifically the British government. It seems that last night people were out in Leeds, London and Birmingham enjoying the Christmas blowout amid the Omicron fears. Anyway, hospitality bosses had warned ministers an alarmist rhetoric on the mutant strain would hit consumer confidence, although people yesterday were out enjoying themselves. Don't know what it was like here in Leek, but from looking at the papers, it was certainly a party going on in a lot of locations around the UK. However, as I said, parties, Friday night's pictures showed the party spirit was alive and well across the Britain's largest cities. I think the general consensus of opinion from the few people that we've spoken to here, they're all sick to death of it. They just want to get on, have a good Christmas without any interference from the government, and do things normally like they would do in any other Christmas before 2020. Anyway, however, the dark side of this is that there was elite sage minutes which urged restrictions and a 2-week circuit breaker lockdown. Now, this was being mooted by ministers yesterday. However, there is going to be a Cobra emergency meeting that's going to take place this weekend at Chequers. I don't know where it's going to take place. I was joking that it'll probably take place at Chequers, and it'll probably be a cover for another party, but we won't go there. Anyway, Professor Neil Ferguson warned that restrictions are needed very soon to avoid hospitalizations rising to 3,000 a day. Oh, however, one thing I'm going to be serious about here, and this has also been mooted in the media, and this is me also saying this as well. However, from the data that's coming out of South Africa, it seems the experts here are completely ignoring that data. South African has already said that the cases are starting to drop. Hospitalizations are starting to drop there, and as far as they're concerned, they're getting over the worst of it. However, as before, as I've said in previous podcasts, the government, the British government here, has just basically ignored any data coming out of South Africa, classing it as anecdotal. All right. Also, interestingly, then, the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, he flew back from California for emergency talks with the hospitality bosses on the financial help that they are wanting. Interestingly, he was away. They're calling him the California Kid at the moment because he's been spending a bit of time there, basically, supposedly having meetings with high-tech firms, etc. Although the way he was dressed when he came back, he looked like he'd been away on holiday to Lagna, to be quite honest. He didn't exactly look the epitome of the Chancellor of the United Kingdom. That is for sure, the way he was dressed on his return. He looked like he'd been at a party. And also, he hasn't been quick to rush back either, despite everything that's going on. So all those people are wondering, where's the Chancellor gone? What's been going on? Well, he's been in California, basically. Anyway, some of the help that some of the hospitality industry have been asking for has been emergency grants. Also, they want a VAT drop as well, and they also want 100% business relief for the retail sector as well. Now, most importantly, as far as I'm concerned, I'm wondering what care homes are going to do if they bring in this lockdown thing or this emergency circuit breaker. Care homes are warned that they must allow residents to see relatives over Christmas. Right, that's over Christmas. Don't forget, Jane and I, we technically will finish our lockdown here. I will finish on the Monday. Jane will finish as soon as she gets her result through on her email, and at the moment we've been hearing that some of the results have been slow coming through because the laboratories are a bit overworked at the moment. So anyway, I'm booked in for a test on Monday in Newcastle upon Lyme, and as long as I'm clear on that test, I'm allowed out. I'm still waiting for the result of the second day test at the moment. We still haven't received that, but then again, we might receive that today, hopefully, or even by tomorrow. So again, at the end of the day, it's all about coming to see me mum, as well as Jane seeing her mum. And what we're worried about now is the reaction the care homes are going to have. This is not just a care home we're going to visit, but care homes all over the country as to what their reaction is going to be to this. But they're already being warned they must allow residents to see relatives over Christmas. So again, I'll keep you posted on how that works out. Right. Just going on now to the Greek news then for today. Just a quick reminder, travellers to Greece will need a negative COVID-19 PCR test to enter the country as part of efforts to curb the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, although it seems to be declining there. Anyway, that measure, just to remind you, if you are going to Greece, that comes in on the 19th of December, and the tests will need to be no more than 48 hours old. I know we've got friends of ours who are coming over to England yesterday, Maureen and also Mike. Hopefully you got in okay without too much of a faff and a mess about. So I've been trying to get in touch with you today to see how your journey was coming over. Right, also as well, be aware that Saturday there's a debate in the Greek Parliament about the budget. However, they think that the main focus of this debate will be more about the pandemic and the study that was published this week concerning the mortality rate of COVID patients treated in intensive care units in Greece, which has obviously sparked a political storm. Now, the Greek Prime Minister, Mitsotakis, is expected to reiterate that he was not aware of a study's conclusions before it was published, and the government would in any case continue to do what is necessary to strengthen the Greek national health system. The study, authored by Soteris Tirsodra, the head of infectious diseases at the Public Health Organization, and the epidemiologist Theodoros Litras, professor of public health at the European University of Cyprus, found that in-hospital mortality of severely ill COVID-19 patients is adversely affected by high patient load, even without exceeding capacity, as well as by the regional disparities. Basically, what they were saying there is that certain areas were having a higher mortality rate than other areas. One thing that's got to be remembered about the Greek health service is that it's not kind of equal right the way across the country. Certain hospitals can deal with certain things, other hospitals can't. Prime example is us here, us in Zakynthos. The hospital is good up to a certain level. Then after that, it has to send patients away to other hospitals, mainly Patra or in Athens, for further treatment. So again, but that's been something that's been going on for years and years and years, and you can't actually blame COVID for that. It's always been an inherent problem within the system that has yet still not been rectified or fixed. Anyway, the Minister of State, Akis Skoritas, gave a foretaste on Friday of the government's intentions. He said there's a lot of noise about the study that does not bring anything new. The government has repeatedly taken a stand on these issues, taken initiatives and implemented policies that strengthen the national health system and addresses the problems identified by the study. What does the study identify? That's a question that have been asked. Pressure on the national health system when it is overloaded and burdened, and equality at regional level. Both issues have been raised at the highest level by the Prime Minister himself long before the study was prepared, he said. Anyway, for her part, Deputy Health Minister Minga Gaga, I love that name, said a day earlier that the study was incomplete and weak. It was announced that Friday that the study had been included in a case file of ongoing investigations conducted by the prosecutor's office of the first incident on the situation at ICUs. Meanwhile, the agenda of Saturday's debate will include new measures to support households due to the energy crisis. The Greek press understands that 30% discount will be announced on gas bills, an improvement on the 16% for October and November. At the same time, there will be an extension of electricity allowance from December from €39 to 45, and it's expected to be extended into the first quarter of 2022. As I've said before all along, the Greek health service has suffered major problems which have never been rectified. Also, one thing again not mentioned, what about the extra pressure from the mandatory vaccination of health workers in the Greek NHS system who've lost their jobs? So basically trying to find staff to fill their roles has probably been nigh on impossible. And again, this rush for mandatory vaccination that has been going on when obviously your healthcare workers are important. A lot of them had been working around people who'd been infected with COVID to no problem to their health. They'd been surrounded by workers in their sectors who were vaccinated. 90% of those workers were vaccinated, but that last 10% who, for whatever reason they had, decided they didn't want the vaccine, lost their jobs, and then it's like, where are we going to find people to replace those people that we fired? And don't forget, the same is probably going to happen in the UK at the moment after the bill that's been pushed through the Houses of Parliament for mandatory vaccination of people in the NHS. And again, I'm not anti-vax. I'm going to reiterate that. I am not anti-vaccination. I am about pro-choice. Your choice, what you put in your body, and you take your chance if you want to take your chance. And people like me, who've had COVID, who still don't want the vaccination, I still don't see why we still need to be vaccinated. Anyway, that's the end of the rant there. Now, interestingly, a Archbishop in northern Greece has filed a lawsuit against two people who claimed on social media that he had banned the burial of people who died from coronavirus and was a sellout, anarchist and Freemason. Anyway, Pavlos, the Metropolitan, or the Archbishop, or Metropolitan is an Archbishop of Drama, could have been a good name there, claimed the posts insulted and defamed him and disseminated fake news. Now, police subsequently located and arrested the two accused, who were led before a prosecutor who ordered them to stand trial before then releasing them. In the meantime, the two apologised for their posts, which they removed from social media. The Archbishop, however, said he would proceed with the lawsuit. Speaking to reporters after a meeting with the prosecutor, the cleric urged churchgoers to take all precautions when entering certain churches where priests do not follow the required preventative measures and urged their congregations not to take the vaccine. And even urged their congregations not to take the vaccine. He said the first offensive post about him claimed he banned the burial of people who had died of coronavirus, while the other person had posted his photo with the comment, "He is the sellout anarchist Freemason." The cleric described the accusations against him as the most serious one could level against a priest or even a bishop. That is, that I have been bribed by someone, that I am an anarchist when I follow Christ's way in the local church, and that I am a Freemason. Anyway, he appealed to the vaccine hesitant priests to get vaccinated so that they can serve as a good model to Christians. Well, at the end of the day, not a very Christian attitude, is it really, to insist on basically taking these people to court after they'd obviously apologised and removed the posts. What happened to Christian spirit there? And also just another little thing as well, we still haven't had clarity from the Archbishop of Zakynthos as to what happened to the 14 priests there who didn't want to be vaccinated, as to what's happened with them, whether they are still working or whether they are not. Again, it's all gone very quiet from there as well. Even though I'm checking the press every day to see if there has been any outcome to that. Anyway, interestingly, going back to Christmas, 6 in 10 Greeks say that they will spend much less on Christmas shopping than they did last year. The reason are the price hikes and higher energy costs, as well as the insecurity with regards to the pandemic. The changes in buying habits of consumers in last year and the effect of the inflationary pressures on disposable income has had consequences on the retail market in Greece. And this was demonstrated by a survey that was conducted by the Hellenic Business and Retail Association across the country. Although it was only 859 consumers, particularly interesting conclusions and trends are recorded in relation to the shopping habits. The survey showed that the majority of the public, 58%, believe that the value of purchases this Christmas will be reduced, while 7% estimated that it will increase and 35% believe it will remain unchanged. Anyway, the largest percentage of respondents, 31%, believes that the reduction will be more than half of last year's expenditure, and that's over 50%, regarding that The estimated amount of spending of purchases during the Christmas period on average will be about €146 per capita. How much are you planning to spend this Christmas on your loved one in the way? I'm not sure if that's just on presents or whether that's on everything for your Christmas. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Once again, thank you to all those people that are tuning in. Can I just say thank you to all those people who tuned in yesterday evening for my dance anthem shows on beatsradio.co.uk. It was really interesting listening to my show, shall we say, sort of 2 hours early, and it just made me a bit frustrated. Listen to the show finished at 9 o'clock, and you know what? I could have done with going out for a drink in a pub after 9 o'clock after listening to the show, but no, still stuck in. Although I must admit, I'm not being as dramatic as your man. What was his name? The actor. Oh, day 3, and the food is fantastic, by the way. Here, I can't knock that. But again, yeah, another day of isolation, another day closer to getting out. But anyway, thanks to all those people tuning in. Don't forget the Dance Anthem show is repeated tonight at 9 o'clock UK time, which is 11 o'clock Greek time. So if you want to come and join us again in the chat room, a little chat. I've got to be honest, listening back to the show last night, there were some banger tunes in there. And thank you to Sam Curtis for your input. Also Shane as well up there. Oh, excuse me, up there on Exmoor. Thank you as well. Ben Warner as well, the owner of Beats Radio. I know you were very busy yesterday. Thank you for all your input. And also Mr. Riggy, the moderator in the chat room. Thank you for everything that you do as well. Right, that's it from me. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground, see what's going on. My main worry at the moment is what restrictions are being planned through this circuit breaker. Don't forget, Jane and I's plans are to stay up here for Christmas and go down to where my mum is in Ashford in Kent on the 28th. So we're going to wait and see how quickly they're going to implement this circuit breaker, if it happens. At the moment, it's all talk at the moment. I'm hoping a little bit of common sense is going to start running through with Boris at the moment. And this is just not another excuse for another party under the cover of a Cobra emergency meeting. And once again, I'm going to share a link somebody sent to me this morning about the van parked outside New Scotland Yard, referenced the party and the evidence gathering. Very, very clever and rather funny, but also quite serious as well. One rule for them and another rule for you. And that is looking like that couldn't be more true. Hey, and that rhymes. Right, that's it from me. Thank you. I will keep my ear to the ground. If I hear of anything, I'll let you know. Ta-ra.